That's weird. That's weird. Kind of weirding me out.
You are a sad, strange little man.
Crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. Isn't that weird?
That's weird, man.
It's strange.
What's up, campers? Welcome back to episode 216 of Camp Strange. I'm your camp counselor, Alex Tobin. And that's right, today we're doing a little bit of a solo pod, as David has, as we know on this podcast, David is a very busy man who has a very busy schedule and has to dig a lot of holes out in the quarry. So this week is just going to be a little bit of a different thing going on with the solo pod. It's just going to be me reading you some news stories, catching you up on the news, and delivering one of our Camp Strange stories. Obviously, we're not going to do two. I just don't have that bandwidth. But it's going to be a fun little experiment. I think this might be my first solo pod. But don't worry. As you all know, I have enough things to talk about to keep this podcast going, with or without David. So without further ado, let's let me hit that intro real quick. Okay, wait. What's up, campers? Welcome to episode. I'm your campers, Alex Tobin, and we're back to bring the spooky, wacky, weird, strange, and litigious. But before we catch you up on the stories we want to tell you, or the story, we got to catch you up on the weird news you may have missed. So I got 4 news stories here for you guys, and this first one is rather haunting but very interesting, as Denmark Zoo asked for people to donate their pets to feed its predators. Yeah, you heard that right. So in Denmark, they're asking for public donations of pets, particularly chickens, rabbits, and guinea pigs, so they can feed their zoo's predators. Apparently, this has had a pretty big backlash online, I guess, as people disagree with the practice, which I both agree with and disagree with. We'll talk about my opinion after I read you this, but basically they wanted to, ask for these pets that are particularly unwanted, possibly any unwanted chicken, rabbits, or guinea pigs, so that they could feed their predators nutritional, actual like animals and real what they would be eating out maybe in the wild. But this is where things get a little like weird and dicey. The zoo also would accept horses, which they euthanize and slaughter for food. Though they said that the zoo needs the zoo's needs vary throughout the year, and there might be a waiting list for you to donate your horse. But also if you guys have a horse and you need to get rid of it, I do have some good news. Because when you donate a horse to the zoo, you can actually obtain a tax deduction for the value of said horse, which is, a little bit of a kicker if you're just real sick and tired of your fucking horse walking around your farm, or even worse, your apartment, and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have bought this horse. It really outgrew this apartment. I got to go to the Denmark Zoo and hope they don't have a waiting list. So that's good for your taxes. But also, like I mentioned, they accept chickens, rabbits, and guinea pigs on weekdays between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m., but no more than 4 at a time. I just love the absolute like strict rules about donating these things. Like, it's hard to know if this is actually like a any press is good press type deal, where they're just like releasing this kind of stuff and being like, yeah, like you could donate this. They know they're probably not going to get any or get many. And they also leave the window. It's a 3-hour window, and not saying you're going to have 4 or more chickens, guinea pigs, or whatever the hell I just said. What was the other one? But it just feels like a little bit of it's so weirdly strict that I'm like, is this just for people to be like, oh yeah, the Denmark Zoo exists, we should go to it? But here's where it gets a little weirder. Apparently in the past they've garnered some other negative social media attention when they killed a healthy giraffe and fed it to their predators, which, like I said, I'm not from Denmark. I don't work at the zoo. They could do whatever they want, but it seems a little strange. It seems a little unethical. Not just like feeding animals to animals. I think doing that kind of stuff is fine in terms of like if an animal dies and you're just like, oh, here, bring it over and the lion can eat it. But it is kind of weird too to just be like, I don't want my guinea pig anymore. Can I bring it to the zoo to euthanize and then get like eaten by a tiger? Like, do you not have any kind of emotional connection to that guinea pig? Chicken, I kind of get. Maybe you have too many chickens on your farm. But it's just so weird that they're asking for this. And also, like, I don't know where guinea pigs are wild, but I don't think any of these predators are eating guinea pigs on like a daily basis. So like that's another kind of strange thing. And then they also this was also kind of a weird one. Where was it? They apparently euthanized two tigers. Oh my God, where is it? See, I don't have David here to like kind of like buy me some time. But I think I read previously that they euthanized 2 cubs and 2 lions for the introduction of a new lion to their zoo. And the reason that here it is. 4 lions, including 2 cubs, were also euthanized several weeks later to make room for a new male lion in the Danish zoo. The lions were euthanized for not being able to defend themselves against him, which that's where I kind of draw the line. I mean, this might be a news article that's just like not really going into it, and they might have their very good reasons for why they did it. Maybe the lions were like old and sick and it was humane. But if that was the case where it's just because they couldn't defend themselves, I'm like, that's a little unethical. I think Denmark's getting a little bit too much in the sustainability and the recycling of it all. It's getting a little strange. But like I said, if you're real fucking sick and tired of your guinea pig, you know where to bring them, and that is to the Denmark Zoo. Kind of wild, kind of an insane story, but we're talking about it, so maybe boost some Denmark Zoo numbers. Who knows? For our next story right here, we got Brazilian woman found dead with 26 iPhones glued to her body. You heard that right. A 20-year-old Brazilian woman was found dead with 26 iPhones glued to her body in Sao Paulo. She was discovered on a bus in Sao Paulo, and she was traveling on public transportation alone. And I believe that the theory right now, they don't have a for sure cause of death, but they think that this might be. It says no drugs were found on her person. Several. Okay, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So she was pronounced dead at the scene. They think it might have been some kind of illegal trafficking thing. I don't know how that ties in. I've seen the pictures of people hiding in seats and glove boxes and really weird locations in a car trying to like traffic themselves and across borders and stuff like that. But I don't understand any universe where gluing 26 phones to your body would make somebody be like, that is phones. Of course that's phones. That's not a woman covered in phones. It's just phones. But like I said, while there are no drugs found on her person, several bottles later identified as alcohol were discovered in her luggage. So she had luggage too. So she was traveling somewhere. She was going somewhere. But they do have a cause of death. It says the woman fell ill and displayed symptoms of convulsions while traveling on the bus, which led to emergency services rushing to rescue her. Sadly, despite their best efforts, she died due to cardiac arrest. So she did, and she's 20. Okay, now I'm like questioning whether I should have my phone in my pocket. I mean, sure, it's not 26 iPhones glued to my body, but some days when I get chest pains, maybe I should just put my phone across the room, you know? It's not anxiety, it's my phone. It's not my brain causing my chest to hurt from anxiety or stress. It's Steve Jobs doing it to me from beyond the grave with his 5G. Do you remember when everybody thought 5G killed bees? Maybe it does. I don't know. But people were like, get away from the 5G tower. It's going to kill you. And now, like, everybody forgot about it, and everyone just uses their phones completely normally. Everyone who's scared completely forgot about it. The bees, I don't know how they're doing right now, but maybe we'll get Dr. B on the podcast later to comment on 5G. But this may be evidence, and we may see the 5G folks coming back with the 26 iPhone theory. But I think she didn't have an autopsy or anything yet. But like I said, no drugs found on her person, probably alcohol in her system. But it just doesn't really make sense. Like I mentioned, the human trafficking theory is an okay theory. It's probably a theory that I would go with too, just because of the weirdness of it and how people disguise themselves or put stuff on them to hide in plain sight or something, you know? But I don't know. I've also seen like those people in China who have like 50 iPhones on stands set up and all pointing at them, and they're doing like 50 separate live streams. So do you think that this was kind of like a streamer ploy where she's like, I'm just streaming from 26 iPhones and they're all glued to my body, so it's kind of like that 360 cam you got going on. You got to go to another stream if you want to see what's behind her. If you want to see what's on the side of her, you got to go onto another stream. But speaking of China, 75-year-old Chinese man asks wife for divorce after falling in love with AI woman he saw online. Okay. That's basically this. Oh, wait, no. So this is like your typical scammy old person scam. So we've talked about this on the pod numerous times, you know, how I think my grandpa and I think somebody in Stokes' family both got like a call and being like, hey, you know, for my grandfather, it was me. And he said like, I was in Vegas in prison or jail or Mexico in jail, and I needed to send bail money. And he called my mom and was like, is this real? And she's like, no, he's at school. And he's like, oh, okay, great. So he checked. But like, we're kind of getting into the era of like, the scammers have never been more powerful with like what they can do with voice, what they can do with video, with what they can do with the combination of both. But I get concerned because I'm like, is that like, does this happen to boomers now because they grew up in an age with no technology? Like when they were young, technology, the extent of it was like TV and phone possibly. You know, internet came in the 90s, and, you know, they're probably already in like their 40s. So it's like, okay, they understood it. But like, are we going to have the same thing happen to us? Like people born with the internet and have like social or media literacy to a certain extent. Are we going to start falling for it? And I know a lot of people do already. You know, you see like the bunnies jumping on the trampoline, or like a sinkhole opening up, or I just saw an amusement park ride falling over, and I see people being like, oh my God, is this real? I know a lot of the times they're jokes now, but there's a difference between like watching a video for 2 seconds and being like, is this real? And then having somebody have a personal relationship with you and being like, this is real. You know what I mean? Like, am I ever going to get to the age where I believe that is the case? Where a robot is like so good at like, you know, vocal switches up in emotion and these idiosyncrasies that we have as humans. Is it going to get that good where I'm like, oh, I just talked to my wife on the phone and she's like, I didn't call you today. And I was like, oh no. I told you our I told you our Netflix login. Oh, no. Don't go to Netflix. Oh, no. They watched a lot of Naked and Afraid. Oh, that wasn't me. That was the Chinese AI robot. That wasn't me trying to watch dirty mosquito-bitten naked people in the Amazon. I'm not into that. Why would you think I'm into that? What do you mean you want a divorce because you met a nice Chinese AI man? But overall, this man, what did he give to this AI woman? Well, it says he was alone. He was not alone in seeking emotional connection. He had limited mobility due to age. Oh, sad. That's sad. And they are becoming increasingly obsessed with the AI craze. That makes sense. I mean, if I was old, I'd be like, holy shit, this is crazy. But believing in it is another thing. Did he give her anything? Oh, my God. The products. Oh, so it was promoting products to him. Why would somebody be like, I'm going to form a relationship with you? Buy milk. Apparently, one of the videos was selling milk. Who the fuck buys milk online? What? Bracelets. It says bracelets to milk. Video range for everything from bracelets to milk. Do they buy milk online in China? Oh, no. What kind of milk was he buying? Oh, Grandpa's horny again. What kind of milk was he buying? But yeah, he spent money on these products, unaware that the items don't actually exist, and this personality speaking to them aren't real either. And it says experts have warned that AI offers convenience. Its ability to manipulate emotions can lead to financial losses and unhealthy emotional dependence. Of course, yeah, that's the one thing we've all been kind of concerned about with the AI thing is like, are people going to start having like AI girlfriend, AI boyfriend? That's a little dangerous territory we're getting into. I hope we don't. If you want to watch a good movie that kind of briefly touches on that, check out End of the Tour. It's Jason Segel and Jesse Eisenberg, and it's about oh my God, David Foster Wallace, who wrote Infinite Jest. He was like a author, and he had a in the movie he has like a brief like monologue about like AI and how technology is going to become easier and easier for us to just like lock ourselves in a room and not interact with people, and we have to basically build in our own mental guardrails, because if we don't, like, we're gonna die a serious, meaningful death, like an ego, like an emotional ego personality on like we'll be alive but we won't be human, basically, is what he's trying to say. And that is scary, because I don't think, including myself sometimes, you fall to your vices, of course, but you just want to like be sure that like your vices are fewer and far between, because they're not healthy for you. That's why they're called vices. So enjoy everything a little bit, but not one thing too much, which goes for AI and all that kind of stuff. So just be very careful. And, I don't even know why I'm like on a soapbox telling you guys about the dangers of AI. I don't really care, but I do think that it's going to get to a point where it gets dangerous or concerning to some degree, because it seems like America's like, fuck it, we don't care. China's worse. China, I just watched an article. Okay, China's winning. I can't believe I said that. I'm so stupid. I watched an article, and it said that there are like no guardrails in China. They just kind of like want to see how good AI can get, and then like America is like kind of throwing guardrails, and they're kind of taking them down, and we're like a little bit more cautious. But people are like, we're gonna lose the AI race, and I'm like, okay, like that may be a good thing in the long run. I don't know how useful it is. I think it's really cool, but you just be, could be scary times. But speaking of pieces of shit, I think I said pieces of shit somewhere in that sentence before. But Former Superman actor says he's joining ICE. Backs up Trump's immigration crackdown. I won't get too political, but if you guys know Dean Cain, I think Dean Cain. He was like Superman for what iteration of Superman was that? Like Superman and Lois Lane or something. Lois and Clark, the New Adventures. It was from 93 to 97, but he was like a TV Superman, and apparently he's a piece of shit guy. And the reason I brought this up, because I just think it's really funny. Like, obviously we know what era we're living in and how social media is so reactive to like the dumbest shit you've ever heard of and seen. But the new Superman movie came out, James Gunn's Superman movie, and I haven't seen it yet. I saw Fantastic Four instead. That was good. But people said Superman was good, and that one of the main storylines in it was, Superman's obviously like an immigrant because he's from... Okay, spoiler alert. He's from outer space. I don't know if everybody knows that, but so that's like one of the main storylines is just like treat everybody equal, like immigrant or not. And like Superman's an immigrant and he helps out a lot and blah, blah, you know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. Like I said, I haven't seen it, but that's what I've heard. This is general sentiment. And then I hear from like, you get a conservative post every once in a while, and I think most conservatives are probably like, oh, Superman was good, I like that. But then you have the nutso job conservatives who are just like, woke propaganda, and you're just like, I'm not a Superman fan, but like these people claim to be Superman fans, and now that they've made Superman woke, I'm like, I've read some of the comics from like the 60s and in 70s, and they were like all about social issues. Like every single one was like, how do we like make it resonate with like the culture that's going on today? And to see like this kind of shit like pop up in a movie is like totally like on par with like everything that comic books stand for and like Superman stands for. And these people are like freaking out about it. And I'm like, it's so stupid. And like I mentioned, the backlash to this stuff is so petty and so stupid and so like attention grabbing, weak, like please pay attention to me. I can maybe get some money out of this bullshit. And this Dean Cain guy comes out, and since he played Superman at one point in his career, now he's like, well, I'm conservative now, so I'm gonna actually as Superman. Actually, as Superman, I am going to join conservative ICE movement because I hate immigrants. And I'm like, brother, like, this is how you're going to be remembered. Like, people might have actually liked you in, like, the Superman canon. I don't know. But I feel like most people who enjoy comic books and people who, I'm going to say art in general, are probably like more liberal leaning because you need empathy to make art because you have to put yourself in other people's shoes. And I'm not saying all conservatives, of course, because that's just a generalization. That's not true. But like the hardcore conservatives who claim to love these like movies and superhero characters, they're like so shitty towards like this entire like idea of being empathetic. And I'm like, you could be empathetic and be conservative. It's like not that hard. It's like, don't just drink, liberals and conservatives both. I know I don't want to get political, but just like don't drink the Kool-Aid just because people tell you to drink the Kool-Aid. I don't know. I saw the whole Sydney Sweeney thing with like the liberal outrage about that. I'm like, you guys, like, can we like, they're stealing our healthcare, you guys. Like, I don't care about a Gene commercial. And I know people are like, no, it's about like the underlying like conservatism is like becoming the main staple and stuff. And I'm like, but like you have to realize it's a pendulum. Like 2020, like the pendulum swung really far to the left, and now it's like probably coming back towards the middle. I don't really know, but I guess my message is like lead with empathy. If something does concern you, talk about it with, people close to you and have discussions. But I don't think there's anything that's great about, going on social media and just like, harassing people unless like they're actually outwardly being like an asshole. Like this Dean Cain guy, he's being an asshole. Like I think Sydney Sweeney was probably like, I did a commercial for American Eagle. And I think American Eagle's like, we just wanted to make a commercial. I don't think that there's like undertones of eugenics, like people are saying. So I don't know. Just be kind to one another, and yeah, if I don't know, I clearly don't have all the answers, so I'm gonna end it there. And you guys are here for some spooky stories, aren't you? Not some politics. I mean, it's good to talk about politics, right? Every once in a while, but we're here to scare the socks off of you, or just strange the socks off of you. That sounds wrong, but I'm going to do it today because I got a story for you here that's a little strange. So let's just get into it. Now, campers, not David. David's a coward, and David, he abandoned us again. So, just you and me, all of us and me. And now, campers, I'm sure we have all been in a situation, or at least witnessed one, where an argument or fight broke out between two or many people that resulted in the infamous phrase, "I'm going to sue your ass." Well, usually, this results in nothing, just a colloquialism we use to try to scare or get the upper hand on someone during a feud. But what if I told you there was a man out there that lived and died by this legal threat? A man who was awarded the title in the Guinness Book of World Records, the most litigious individual in history, and then proceeded to sue the Guinness Book of World Records, proving their point. Well, today, I want to discuss a man with over 2,600 lawsuits to this day, probably far more. Johnny Tsunami himself, Jonathan Lee Ritchie's, the alleged most litigious individual in history. And I want to preface this entire podcast by saying everything said on this podcast is alleged from here on out. I know nothing and do not listen to what I have to say. Actually, everything I say is false and untrue. And this is me legally protecting myself, just in case JLR, Jonathan Lee Ritchie's, listens to this, which I doubt he will, but he might be the type of guy that Google his name every once in a while. So let's hope we stay off the JLR radar. But it doesn't matter because this is all incorrect anyway, and not on like Wikipedia and a couple other sites. So I can't find much about JLR's early life because it only seems like he began to get the public's attention in January of 2006, when it was noticed that at the time he had filed over, like I said, 2,600 lawsuits. And that's why I'm like, there's so much more. This was 2006 with 2,600 lawsuits. He's probably got 10,000 under his belt at this point. Has to. Unless he pivoted. He got tired of the grind and pivoted. But you're going to see that some of these, it seemed like he just most people would get burnt out after one lawsuit, but we're going to find out he had a lot of time on his hands because he was in prison. Okay, so some of his lawsuits, which received considerable press attention, are, and some of the most famous lawsuits are, of course, Bill Belichick of the New England Patriots, George W. Bush, former Attorney General of the United States Janet Reno, Martha Stewart, NASCAR driver Jeff Gordon, former Atlanta Falcons quarterback Michael Vick, Steve Jobs, celebrity blogger Perez Hilton. That's how you know it's from 2006. I haven't heard that guy's name in ages. Next one. Let me go back because the setup to this one is funnier if you hear the previous. Celebrity blogger Perez Hilton, Somali pirates, just in general. I think just Somali pirates in general. He must Captain Phillips must have came out and he was like, give me my suing pen. I got to sign some stuff. Brittney Spears, and he also sued Pakistani politicians Benazir Bhutto and also Pervez Musharraf and the Immigration of Naturalization Service. And he sued them all to prevent him from being deported to Pakistan and tortured upon his release from prison in March of 2012. But newsflash, there was no known evidence of any attempt to deport Richies to Pakistan. So you could tell this guy's like, he's suffering from a little bit of the paranoia, which we will get into. We'll get into it a little bit. But clearly this man is going after... See, we only covered like the big name people, like people who have like notoriety. I found some court documents online where he just sued like a lot of random people, like no idea who they are. Maybe they're like somewhat famous on a local level. Maybe they have money, or maybe he's just suing people who don't have money at all. I don't know. Like maybe it's just like a fuck you kind of situation. But it feels like it's a little bit more of like a money grab. But like I said, we'll get into my theories later. But so another one of his most notable suits was on April 9th of 2008. Richie filed, or JLR, I should call him, filed a request for a temporary restraining order in the U.S. District Court against Grand Theft Auto. Well, I should be more specific. Grand Theft Auto publisher Take-Two, developer Rockstar Games, and also FCI. Oh, so it was three people: the publisher Take-Two, the developer Rockstar Games, and FCI Williamsburg, which was the prison he was in. I think it's Federal Correctional Institution, Williamsburg, which I think is in South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. And also he sued Grand Theft Auto itself, the actual game. I don't know how the fuck you do that, but claiming that the defendants put me in prison, the inmate stated. He says, defendants contributed to plaintiff committing identity theft. This is like my favorite argument. I absolutely love the video games made me do it type thing. Like they did the same thing with like movies, like early Quentin Tarantino movies, or like the violence in movies causes people to commit violence. I'm like, I don't think there's any correlation between that. I understand like maybe the beginning because it was like shocking, but as we know now, it's like usually there's not a direct correlation to anything that like has caused somebody to commit violence. Like I think they will find stuff that they consume that maybe has violence in it, but like it's never the same across the board. That's the problem. Like the Columbine stuff, it was like Marilyn Manson. They're like they listen to Marilyn Manson, and I'm like, but like no one else in the future has ever done that and been like Marilyn Manson made me do. You know what I mean? Marilyn Manson is another problematic figure. I don't know much about that situation, but I've heard. But you know, it's really funny. Grand Theft Auto was definitely one of the top games to like take a hit because you could literally just like beat a hooker up with a baseball bat. And I understand that may be problematic. I think they removed that from the game in these recent years, but yeah, you still kill innocent civilians. So I understand. But like I said, okay, I'm going to get to this point. It says defendants games, as in Rockstar Games, Grand Theft Auto shows sex, drugs, and violence, which offends me, he said. Richie's continued, defendants put me in prison. I face imminent danger from violent inmates who played Grand Theft Auto, who will knock me out and take my gold Jesus cross. So not only is he suing Grand Theft Auto because it made him a violent criminal, but he's also suing them because it made all of his fellow inmates violent criminals. He probably took a poll, probably walked around the prison yard and was like, hey, why am I Harry Carey immediately? I'm like, hey, who here play Grand Theft Auto? All of you? Oh, great. That's fantastic. But Cubs win. But yeah, so, and I also love that he says, they're going to knock me out and take my gold Jesus cross. Are you allowed to have any kind of jewelry in prison? I don't think he had a gold Jesus cross. I don't know. But and right underneath I wrote, okay, I'm not saying Grand Theft Auto is a bastion of good moral code, but I don't even recall identity fraud being a large part of that game or even present. I mean, like, if he drove his car off an art installation at LAX and, like, flew up into the air and landed on a bunch of people, it would be a little bit more understandable, you know, where you could maybe sue Grand Theft Auto. But his crimes are just, like, not severe enough to be, like, a reality to that game. Like, it's just, the comparison isn't there. Sorry, this is going to sound bad, but, like, if you drove through, like, a crowd of people and you're like, Grand Theft Auto made me do it, I'd be like, okay, no, but you make a 5% compelling case. But, like, was there identity fraud? I also, like, couldn't find his actual identity fraud, like, what landed him in jail. But while he was in jail is when he filed the majority of these lawsuits, which, once again, totally makes sense because he was just sitting there bored. This was probably, if anything, something that, like, gave him hope. You know, some people read books, some people paint, some people write, some people work out. He was just, like, filing lawsuits because, it feels like what some people do, like, when they retire. Like, people can't retire because they lose purpose. So if, like, this guy went to prison, he's like, I need work to do. I need to, like, file lawsuits because I can't just sit around and do nothing. I need to be proactive. So I guess that's fine, but because I think most of them got tossed out. Like, we'll get into it, but as he does admit that he did commit identity fraud, even attempting to intervene as a, oh my God, wait, I know I did the thing where I fucked up on the sentence. David's not here to roast me for it, but he does admit that he did commit identity fraud, even attempting to intervene as a plaintiff in the Bernie Madoff investment scandal, claiming that he met Bernard Madoff on eHarmony.com in 2001. And he said after meeting Madoff on eHarmony in 2001, he taught Madoff identity theft skills. So it's that one's hard to follow. I don't know what eHarmony was like back then, but I don't even know if this guy's gay, to be completely honest. Maybe he is, but, like, how did he just accidentally meet Bernie Madoff on eHarmony.com? Interesting. Definitely real. I wonder how. So, as I mentioned, JLR, Jonathan Lee Ritchie's, has earned the world record from Guinness for being the most litigious individual in history. And in May of 2009, Ritchie filed an injunction against the Guinness Book of World Records, seeking to stop them from listing the record in their book. But here's the kicker. Guinness Book of World Records spokeswoman Sarah Wilcox told the Huffington Post that there was no such listing and no plan to create one. It says, quote, most litigious man is not something Guinness World Records has ever monitored as a record category, she said. The action, like the vast majority of Ritchie's filings, were dismissed. So, so he made up the moniker most litigious man or most litigious individual, and then tried to sue the company that he made up that gave it to him, which is just like, so he's like, it seems like he's kind of in on the joke, but like I said, I think, like, we'll get into it, but I think it's like a mental illness playing into a self-awareness. But, so basically, like I said, he came up with the award, gave it to himself, and then sued Guinness for allegedly giving it to him, which never happened. So some of Ritchie's defendants are not. So, and I also want to say this, that most of his suits are immediately dropped because apparently you have to. I've never sued anybody. I've never been sued. Knock on wood, everybody. That's drywall. Fuck. But you have to like pay a filing fee or something like that. And since he was in prison, he was not paying these filing fees. So they would like just go out. And I don't know if like he would get like a public defender or something like that. But they were like written up and documented and then brought to court. And they'd be like, he didn't file a fee, dismiss the case immediately. I think out of prison, maybe he was doing some of them, filing some fees, but it looks like almost all of them were dropped. So there's probably a point where he's like, maybe I stop filing the fee and just kind of get the notoriety for like making the lawsuit in the first place. Because then I don't know. Wait, how much? That's a good question. How much is it to file a lawsuit? Okay, this is only California, but it ranges from $240 to $435 in California to initially file a lawsuit. So it's not a small chunk of change. If he's doing thousands of these, he's probably not paying for most of them. But I think when you're this litigious, you kind of look for like situations to sue. So he's probably had a couple run-ins where it's like, okay, I could maybe like actually sue here and get some money. So he's probably paid fees on those, but most of these definitely not. So he definitely didn't fucking pay the fee on some of these, as we're gonna get into. As some of Richie's defendants are not even persons subject to suit. These include Adolf Hitler's National Socialist Party, the 13 tribes of Israel, which I don't know. It's weird to weird to file both of those. I don't know. It just seems like he's standing right in the middle of them. So one lawsuit in which George W. Bush was the first named defendant also includes another 790 defendants that cover 57 pages. And they include Plato, Nostradamus, Che Guevara, Jimmy Hoffa, who's possibly buried under the Jet Stadium. Oh, here's my favorite. Various Buddhist monks, in quotations. I don't know if he knows their names. I just know Dalai Lama, that's not even his real name. Did they switch his name to that when he becomes a Dalai Lama? I don't know. He had a kid suck his tongue, so that's weird. All survivors of the Holocaust, he added to the George W. Bush lawsuit, the Lincoln Memorial, the Eiffel Tower, the USS Cole, which I'm guessing is a ship, the book Mein Kampf, the Garden of Eden, the Roman Empire, the Appalachian Trail, Plymouth Rock, the Holy Grail, Nordic gods, the dwarf planet Pluto, and the entire 3 Mile Island accident, which, for those of you who don't know, was a nuclear meltdown in Pennsylvania in 1979. I don't know what to say. If this is not like clearly a joke, which I don't think it fully is, I think it partially is, because he has YouTube videos, and I've watched him a little bit, and I was like, okay, well, this is a little telling. But the sheer like randomness of this all is like impressive, like crazy list, absolutely nuts. And I wonder the 6 degrees of Plato, Che Guevara, and the dwarf planet Pluto. Pluto, that's close. Maybe that's where the name association came in. So, in July of 2018, Richie's was indicted by a federal grand jury in Arizona as well. And he was charged with, this is where, when they bite back, because he was charged with making false statements and other frauds after an attempt to file a lawsuit against Gabby Giffords, who was the U.S. representative from Arizona, while posing as Jared Lee Lautner, who is a mass murderer who committed a mass shooting in Tucson in 2011. And I believe Gabby Giffords was shot. She was not killed, but there was, I believe, another U.S. representative or possibly her husband. Somebody else died. It was at a grocery store, I believe. And he sued her as Jared Lee Lautner, which I don't know how you can do that. That's obviously like it's a false statement and it is fraud. So like both of those like make sense, but like so stupid that he just like decided to do that. And it's also like such a touchy subject, you know. I don't know. That's when it like not funny under any circumstances, even though he thinks it is, because a collection of Richie's lawsuits were published on April Fool's Day of 2016. So obviously he's aware that this is a joke, but I luckily found some kind of like compilation of parts of his suits that he filed, and these were some of my favorites that I found. So this is for Sidney Crosby, Penguins hockey player, and it says Crosby is discrimination against federal inmates. I'm illegally incarcerated, and he will not donate me Pittsburgh Penguins tickets to see him. Not having prison furloughs is a violation of cruel and unusual punishment. I can't watch hockey games in prison. There is not enough white inmates to watch. I seek $10 million. So these are written, like what I found, these are written on like legal documents with like the weird legal punctuation and stuff and like little footnotes. So these made it to someone who typed them up, because I don't think he's doing this. These are just like quotes from him that they've put in the lawsuits. Also, how hilarious is it? There's not enough white inmates to watch hockey games in prison, which is like so funny. And also the fact that he's just suing a hockey player because he can't get Penguins tickets. So it's like, okay. Next was against a prison guard, I think with the last name Tanny. Tanny is in the sky above West Virginia in a NASA spacecraft, watching and spying on any life. This is an invasion of privacy. My civil rights are violated. When I take a shower at FCI Williamsburg, the prison, guards watch me. My curtain is see-through. This inflicts embarrassment on me. I seek $7 million. He sued a businessman, I think named Don Hoyt Gorman, or I don't know. I Googled it. There was a businessman named that. I don't know if it's the right guy, but he said, my civil rights are violated. Gorman is planting seeds in my head. My life is a science fiction. I'm illegally incarcerated by defendant, and he won't report my abuses to FBI. He also got FCI Williamsburg, the prison, medical staff to puncture my brain stem cells. I'm not getting proper medical care. I seek $15 million in damage. And you're going to find out that if Richie's is not seeking millions of dollars in damages, then he's usually seeking a restraining order or protection against the defendant, which is also just kind of funny. And this next one's against the prison. He says, I can't receive religion. This is I can't receive religion. This is a constitutional violation. I'm in solitary and no one will give me a Bible. I have constitutional right to Bible. No one prays for me. Defendant is after me. I seek restraining order. This is also against the prison. FCI Williamsburg, the prison, is violating my civil rights. Wait, I think this is the last one of my favorite. They're violating my civil rights. I can't play PlayStation. Campus want to turn my life into a video game and remote control me. My case is being a game. I lose in my video game. My life is in danger. I seek $26 million and a restraining order. So all these cases, like I mentioned, were dismissed without prejudice because JLR did not pay any filing fees, which you must do in order for to bring your case to court. So he's not dropping the 500 smackaroonies, you know. If he's in prison, maybe they'll take a cup of noodle and a half jar of peanut butter or something like that. But no, I think he's out of luck. So today, Jonathan Lee Ritchie's, has a website and YouTube channel called Jonathan Lee Ritchie's Investigates. I shouldn't even be promoting it, Jesus Christ. Where it seems, well, and here's the other problem. It doesn't seem like he needs any promotion because it seems that he has 413,000 subscribers and over 5.5 thousand videos, most covering crimes, conspiracies, and modern events. So he has a ton of videos about the Murtaugh murders and stuff. That guy that murdered his family. He has a ton of those, but a lot of crime videos and stuff. Here's my favorite. So on his YouTube, he put links to donation pages, and good for him. I respect the grind. Stop harassing people. Make weird videos on YouTube, and if you want to make your money that way, hey, more power to you. But I found his donations in his YouTube bio, and I also found an Amazon wish list, and I went to it, and you can get him one of many options of fast food gift cards. That's the majority of what's on his wish list, including Pizza Hut, McDonald's, Olive Garden, and like I said, many other. He also has some luggage on there, first aid kit, mobile hotspot, and signal booster. This man is on the go who needs his food fast and his lifestyle mobile. I have to say, he has some restraint. He didn't ask for a lot. I mean, he is at any form of, wish list you have on there that's just asking for I don't know. I guess that's better than just asking for PlayStation. I see people being here's my wish list. Can you buy me things that you don't need? At least he's can you buy me food? Hey, respect. But it is just so funny to see just a 20 different kinds of fast food gift cards on his wish list. But I hope he's staying full. So some say that the lawsuits are nothing more than a way for him to gain notoriety and internet fame, which, I feel conflicted because obviously this man is very strange, allegedly very strange. And he's harassing a lot of people. But at the same time, I'm is this in a vacuum? These people that he's filing lawsuits against, they're not actually getting harassed, right? He's more of just an annoying nuisance to probably 3 people at his local courthouse, which I feel bad for them. But I guess he's not causing too much damage or too much harassment from anybody. If he is, then fuck him because that's annoying and disrespectful, and go get a real job. But if he's doing this as his way to make money because he's sort of mentally ill and he needs money, then go make your YouTube videos. I'm fine with that. But like I said, it seems like this is a way for him to gain notoriety and internet fame, gaining free press from dumbasses like me covering him. Yep. I lean more towards the idea that this man may be suffering from some sort of mental illness that is being exacerbated by the fame and money of it all. See, that's what I was kind of trying to say is obviously, even if you're being funny, you don't go this far. You don't go to over probably 5,000, 10,000 lawsuits against people and make 5.5 thousand videos on YouTube about, this, that, and the other. But, so I think he's suffering from some kind of something going on, but he's also playing into the whole spiel of it all because he's well, this is how I get noticed, this is how I make money, and it's headline worthy. So obviously he gave himself the moniker most litigious man. So he's in on the bit somewhat. So I've had these conversations with friends before about if sorry, this is a little sidebar because I just find this interesting because of how he's executing on his fame. Because I was I've had this conversation with friends about if you had no shame or wherewithal, it would probably be a lot easier to become famous since, most people have that little voice in their head being this is not a good idea. This is going to live online forever. You probably shouldn't do this crazy thing. I think it's okay to create art and create stuff you enjoy doing, but obviously suing 2,000, 5,000 people, that's going to follow you wherever you go to a certain extent. So most people just go I can't do that. But I sort of envy the people out there who just do not care about how they're perceived in the world. I think it comes back to bite them, you know, like, because I said, like, but let's be honest, most people who try this end up throwing everything at the wall for attention. They act like they, you know, they don't really have longevity. Like they'll be like, oh, I need to be famous. I need to do this. And they'll just do like these crazy YouTube videos or like start being like trying to go on this crazy press run, and it just doesn't have longevity. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm the Hawk Tuah girl. And you're like, yeah, you're the Hawk Tuah girl forever now. But like, hopefully you make enough money in that, like, you know, 3-month pocket of fame where you don't have to work anymore. That's the dream, probably. I mean, the dream probably have like a longer career, but like that's the second dream. It's just like, as Joni Mitchell said, I'm going to make a lot of money and then I'm going to quit this crazy scene. So, yeah, you know, get your bag while you get it, because the internet is forever. But what did I say here? Oh, so I leave with this message. So, like I say, if you want to be successful in something, you know, instead of just like throwing everything at the wall and like trying to be like controversial and trying to be like, I got to get clicks, so I'm going to like call this person out, you know, just like, instead of doing that, just like put something good out there, something quality. And if it's really good and you could like market it to some people, you know, people will show up and share it for you without having to like sue thousands of people for bad press. So don't go down that route if you can, because I feel like in the moment it feels like a good idea, but in the end, we all know it just like ends in tragedy to a certain degree. And at the end, I say, remember, everyone. Oh, I said, remember, everyone is just trying to get by. So don't be an asshole to people who don't deserve it, because notoriety and money is temporary, but your reputation is forever. So be a good person, work hard, and if someone shows up at your home with a manila envelope in their hand, do not confirm your name to them, because you might just get served by Johnny Tsunami himself, JLR. So that's the story I have for you today. I hope it was entertaining. I'm only an army of one today, but it's something. It's something to listen to on your way to work. We don't have David here correcting me and making fun of me and shit, but like, you know, new format. If David's it's not like he doesn't want to be here. He just has I think he's moving, so I don't, you know, he has a lot of stuff going on. You know, his whole recording setup is dismantled, so it was very difficult to try to figure out this one. So I just said, you know, I'm just gonna do it, and yeah, I think it was fun. I think it was a good time, and let me know how you guys like it. If you really enjoy this one, well, just fucking kick David off the podcast. That's great. That's what I've been trying to get to, guys. Okay? Yeah, it's not as fun by myself, but God, that guy's a real pain in my asshole. Anyway. Thank you guys for listening. I love telling you these stories. I love when you stick around and listen. If you guys want any more information, you go to Camp Strange Podcast on Instagram. Click the link in bio. I think our shop is still down. I got to figure that out. But, you know, you could rate, review, subscribe. Check out our posts on there. It updates you every time an episode comes out for the most part. And, yeah, like I said, rate, review, subscribe, share it with a friend, whatever you want to do there. But I'm happy that we were able to get an episode out to you this week, because we know we've been very inconsistent lately, and we're trying to keep up with it. You know, just life gets in the way. So, yeah, we're happy to do this. So I think that's it. What else we got in the store today? No, I'm not going to do this by myself. We got flowers that squirt you with water. It's really hard when I don't have David to like buy me some time. We got a picture frame made of hot dogs. What else we got? We got your grandma with a kazoo. What else we got? We got a book carved out with a revolver in it. And we also have a revolver. And you open the chamber and there's books in the chambers. And there's also a blind guy in the street. Okay, I think that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And David, do you have anything to say before we head out?
I'm a loser who didn't show up for the podcast because I have a house.
Fuck you, David. And don't forget to stay strange.